In the gloomy forest, Hyrkan placed his hand on the bone warrior's smooth skull, his eyes flashing with determination. "Helmet on," he quietly commanded. Immediately, a glowing red ancient character ignited on the skeleton's forehead, and its two eye sockets blazed with an eerie light. A sudden, violent burst of crimson and black energy erupted from the bone warrior, momentarily stunning Hyrkan. This furious energy swiftly enveloped the skeleton, transforming its form. Gazing at the creature he had just empowered, Hyrkan exclaimed excitedly, a nearly insane smile on his lips. "This is incredible! It even has horns now?" Before him, the bone warrior had completely transformed. It was now a colossal, bony monster with a pair of demonic horns, its entire body enveloped in a menacing red aura. He commanded, "All right, we need to test it. Come attack me." In response to the provocation, the bone warrior merely let out a deep, menacing growl.
A savage roar suddenly echoed, shattering the peace. The warrior skeleton, one of Hyrkan's minions, abruptly erupted with a surge of furious dark energy. It charged to attack its master. Hyrkan flinched, eyes wide with astonishment at his subordinate's unusual behavior. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. This one, without a moment's hesitation, anger flared in Hyrkan. He swung his hand, delivering a mighty punch straight down onto the rebellious skeleton's skull. Struck by the unexpected blow, the skeleton fell sprawling onto the forest's damp ground, lying motionless in an odd posture. Two other skeletons nearby merely stood like statues, witnessing the entire event. Hyrkan approached, his voice icy but laced with sarcasm. "Did you just roar in my face? How dare you?" Lying on the ground, the pathetic skeleton trembled violently, cold sweat appearing on its skull despite having no flesh. It was utterly silent before its master's wrath. Seeing his subordinate's exaggerated reaction, Hyrkan's anger gradually subsided, replaced by a bewildered expression. He raised his hand to look at his wrist, frowning in thought. Is this some kind of error?
Hyrkan stood silently in the damp forest, his gaze fixed on the dry skeleton lying motionless on the ground. Nothing had changed. Disappointment welled within him, and he muttered irritably, "I didn't think anything would change. Don't tell me even skills are a scam now?" Just then, the stagnant water nearby suddenly stirred. A chilling hiss sound echoed, followed by a piercing shriek, "Kee!" tearing through the silent space. From beneath the murky green water, a horde of level 30 lizardmen with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth surged forth, aggressively charging straight towards him. Caught by surprise, Hyrkan's eyes widened slightly, but the surprise quickly faded, giving way to a cold, sharp smile that appeared on his lips. He glanced at the monsters rushing towards him. "Well, the test subjects arrived just in time," he casually stated. "Helmet, activate. And while we're at it, bone armor." No sooner had he finished speaking, a surge of fiery red energy erupted, enveloping the skeleton warrior's head, forming the berserker's helmet, which boosted its stats.
Amidst the chaotic space, a skeleton warrior, its body ablaze with a blood-red energy, swung its weapon, creating a deadly streak of light. A wild growl, "Kua!" echoed from its dry jaw, a sound filled with fury and aggression. Taken by surprise by the attack, three green-skinned monsters sensed the impending danger. Hyrkan, cool and authoritative, commanded, "Skeleton, deal with them." Instantly, the command was executed. Three skeleton warriors rose in unison, their eye sockets blazing with red light, charging forward like a whirlwind. Leading them was a warrior with the letter H carved on its forehead, its jaw wide open in a silent roar, its entire body seething with destructive rage. The vanguard skeleton warrior charged straight at the monster. A piercing clang resounded as its sword violently struck the enemy's defenses, producing a blinding spark.
The lizardman's bloodshot eyes bulged, a terrifying scream still trapped in its throat abruptly cut short. Right before it, a surge of crimson killing intent erupted ferociously. The skeleton warrior, with its eye sockets blazing with malevolent fire, charged like a destructive whirlwind. Its enormous sword, cloaked in dark energy, drew a deadly arc through the air. Slash! In an instant, the monster's body was sliced in half, green blood splattering everywhere. Not just one, but the entire pack of lizardmen fell before the terrifying might of the bone warriors. Immediately, cold ding sounds echoed in Hyrkan's mind, followed by two consecutive notification windows appearing. Skeleton warriors have annihilated 3 lizardmen. Experience points plus 864. Level up! Level up! New power surged through the skeletons. Witnessing the scene, Hyrkan couldn't hide his extreme elation. His cheeks flushed and a radiant smile stretched from ear to ear across his face. He exclaimed, filled with excitement, "This is absolutely amazing!"
Amidst the muddy landscape stained red with blood and monster corpses, Hyrkan outlined the next plan for his army. His voice rang out with determination. "All right, in the coming week, we will hunt monsters to find the egg, and if this isn't the quest area, then we'll go somewhere else." With that said, he boldly shouted, "Let's go," and led the skeleton warriors deep into the gloomy forest, where sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense foliage. Hidden behind the nearby bush, a figure silently observed them from afar. Her eyes followed Hyrkan's retreating back and his strange army as they faded into the mist. A mysterious smile subtly appeared on her lips, and she unconsciously licked them lightly with delight. The scene suddenly shifted, brightening into a shower of light pink petals. The woman stepped out, her long black hair fluttering in the wind. She wore an outfit that was both elegant and powerful, each step exuding absolute confidence. With enchanting purple eyes and a radiant smile, she introduced herself. "My name is Illia. As you can see, I am a top-tier beauty."
Illia was lost in self-satisfied thoughts, a discreet smile gently gracing her lips as rose petals drifted around her. In her mind, a magnificent scene unfolded. She was enthroned, surrounded by countless devotees shouting her name and offering precious gifts. "I don't want to say it myself, but it's the truth, so I have to accept it," she mused. "No matter what I do, everyone loves me. That's why my life is so easy. All I have to do is show a little distress, and my slaves will rush to help at once." Her arrogant thoughts were abruptly cut short by a slippery sensation underfoot. In an instant, she lost her balance and fell flat into a slimy, greenish mud puddle. She lay motionless in the mud for a moment, utterly stunned. "Damn it, this stupid place, I hate it," she screamed in silent rage. Bitter memories flooded back. "One of my slaves brought me here to help me level up." She recalled the man's eager face when he said, "Just follow me," and her own scornful smile at the time. But then he died instantly. The image of the man being dragged into a similar mire, his desperate scream, and the word "help" he scratched on the ground clearly appeared. "Now I'm stuck here."
Illia thought to herself, "The monsters here are too high level and it's hard to move. Is there anyone I can trick?" Suddenly, a piercing clang of metal resounded nearby, drawing her attention. Peeking through the leaves, Illia was astonished to see a lone figure battling amidst a swarm of grotesque humanoid monsters. It was Hyrkan, his silver hair standing out against the gloomy backdrop. Briefly stunned, Illia quickly regained her composure. A wicked smile appeared on her lips as a thought flashed through her mind. Found the new slave. Without a moment's hesitation, she clutched a piece of fabric on her chest, tearing it with force. Immediately after, a desperate, fearful shriek tore through the silent space. "Kiak!" Focused on fighting, Hyrkan startled and spun around towards the source of the scream. Before he could even grasp what was happening, Illia staggered out of the bushes. Then, as if losing all strength, she collapsed, sprawled on the ground right in front of him. With tear-filled eyes and a pitiful expression to the extreme, surrounded by shimmering illusions of roses, Illia looked up at him, her voice trembling with urgency. "Please save me. My leg is injured because of these monsters."
With a carefully calculated, charming smile, Illia sweetly said, "Well, doesn't it break your heart to see a beauty like me in such pain? Surely you can't resist the urge to help, can you?" However, in response to her fervent plea was only Hyrkan's cold back. He didn't turn around, simply continued striding deeper into the gloomy forest with his skeleton soldiers, leaving a stunned Illia behind. Shock quickly overwhelmed her. "You're just going to leave like that?" she shrieked in her mind, eyes wide with disbelief. "A peerless beauty like me is injured and he dares to ignore me?" Desperate, Illia tried to call after him one more time. Excuse me, Sir Summoner, I'm sorry." With only a dismissive glance over his shoulder, Hyrkan muttered annoyedly, "Another mad woman," then continued walking without hesitation. That blatant disregard was the last straw. Illia's beautiful face contorted with rage. She gritted her teeth, a small trickle of blood seeping from her bitten lip. How dare you? Ignore me!"
In the gloomy forest, the clang of clashing weapons echoed loudly. Under Hyrkan's command, skeleton warriors were launching an attack on a fierce lizard monster. Standing with his arms crossed, observing the battle from afar, Hyrkan sighed softly, raising a hand to cover his face in annoyance. "How troublesome," he muttered to himself. The cause of this discomfort was none other than Illia. She was sitting on the ground not far away, looking in pain and whimpering. "Wah, it hurts so much! Can anyone here help me?" Hyrkan tried to ignore her to avoid wasting time, but she persistently followed him. Images of those who didn't take the game seriously, faces that had betrayed him in the past, suddenly resurfaced in Hyrkan's mind. Annoyance escalated into anger. He gritted his teeth, thinking, "If you're in the game, then please play properly, you bastards! Do you always have to make a spectacle?" After some internal struggle, Hyrkan decided that getting it over with was quicker than enduring it further. He suddenly turned around, walking quickly towards Illia. Startled by his action, she looked up with a bewildered expression. Hyrkan snapped, "What do you need help with?"
Illia approached Hyrkan with a pleading expression, her hands clasped together nervously. "I dropped my sword in one of the swamps while hunting. Could you help me retrieve it?" Hyrkan growled, his sharp eyes not concealing his annoyance. "You'd better be gone right after I get it back for you." Illia flinched but then quickly nodded, her face beaming with joy. "Oh, of course, thank you so much. I won't forget this help." But the moment Hyrkan turned away, Ilya's grateful expression vanished. In its place was a sinister, calculating smile. Her eyes widened, marked by wild, triumphant glints. A wicked thought flashed in her mind. He's hooked. They ventured deeper into the swamp, reaching a stagnant, murky green pool. Illia exclaimed, pointing to a small mound in the water, "Ah, there it is." She turned, continuing to play the role of a helpless girl. "Thank you so much. Without you, I might have—" Standing by the shore, surrounded by skeleton guards, Hyrkan indifferently interrupted. "It's fine, just don't forget your promise to leave once I retrieve it for you." Both their gazes fixed on the sword stuck in the mound, silently waiting amidst the still waters of the swamp.
Hyrkan ordered coldly, "Skeletons, go get it." Immediately, 3 skeletal warriors obeyed, wading through the stagnant water towards Illia. Seeing the approaching horde, the girl looked up with deep gratitude, whispering, "Thank you so much." However, the moment Hyrkan turned his back, the weakness on Ilya's face vanished, replaced by a maniacal and wicked smile. Summoners are nothing without their pawns, she thought, as a surge of magical blue energy enveloped her hand, forming a sharp weapon. In an instant, a burst of crimson killing intent erupted around Illia as she lunged at Hyrkan's unguarded back. "How dare you ignore me? Die!" she roared in fury, swinging her weapon in a fatal attack. However, the insidious blow seemed to have no effect. Hyrkan merely tilted his head slightly, a mocking smirk playing on his lips. He nonchalantly uttered a cold remark, "Too slow."
Ilya's face froze for a moment of extreme shock. "What?" Before she could finish her words, an irresistible force grabbed her. With a whoosh that tore through the air, Ilya's slender body was flung into the sky, tumbling aimlessly. Her desperate scream echoed through the forest and then faded as she plunged straight into the murky green water. A resounding splash echoed, and water sprayed everywhere. On the bank, Hyrkan stood coldly. Beside him, the silent white skeleton warriors, his gaze fixed on the rippling surface of the lake. A few seconds later, Illia resurfaced, her black hair matted to her mud-streaked face. Breathing heavily, her eyes burned with fury as she stared at Hyrkan. "You bastard!" she roared, her voice hoarse with anger. "Do you really think you'll get away with this? My bodyguards will destroy you immediately." In response to her threat, Hyrkan merely smirked. He raised a hand to cover his mouth, trying to suppress a mocking chuckle. Then he casually pointed behind her back. "Behind you."
Amidst the murky green waters of the dense forest, Illia turned her head, her face aghast. "What? Behind me? What's behind me?" Directly behind her, the water violently foamed. A crash echoed, and from beneath the surface, 3 lizard-like monsters with greenish-gray scales emerged. Their fiery red eyes glowed menacingly, their sharp fangs wide open, ready to devour their prey. They lunged, pulling Illia down into the muddy water. "Ah!" Her desperate shriek echoed through the forest. then quickly silenced. From the bank, Hyrkan stood with crossed arms, his skeleton warriors beside him, silently watching the scene. Illia, instead of sinking into despair, now stood firm in the water, her beautiful face contorted with fury, glaring daggers at Hyrkan. Hyrkan spoke, his tone both sarcastic and casual. "If you're going to trick me, at least do it better. I saw through you from the start, you fool." As he spoke, he pulled one eye down, sticking out his tongue to tease. But then, the smirk on Hyrkan's lips vanished, replaced by a cold, gloomy stare. He subtly covered one eye, his voice deepening, filled with weariness and disgust. "I've had enough of these tricks. What a waste of my time." Having said that, he turned his back, not bothering to glance at the furious woman behind him anymore. "Skeletons, let's go."
Hyrkan suddenly stopped, his eyes showing clear annoyance. His skeleton warriors, instead of being vigilant, were putting on a ridiculous show. One was pressing another against a tree trunk, mimicking an overly cheesy flirting pose, while the other two stood by, covering their bony hands over their mouths, feigning extreme astonishment. Hyrkan growled, "Stop those idiotic games right now! I will kill you all!" Hearing the threat, all three skeletons immediately cowered, shambling behind their master with remorseful expressions. Just then, a ting sound rang out, and a system notification appeared before Hyrkan. Player Illia has died. A brilliant golden light enveloped Hyrkan. He was surprised, then burst into hearty laughter. "What is this? So I got points too? I didn't directly kill her, so I didn't expect anything. What luck!" In her final moments, Illia sank into the swamp, her beautiful face contorted with horror and anger. She screamed in despair. "Do you really think you'll escape after doing this? My bodyguards will annihilate you in an instant." Hyrkan sneered, his eyes flashing with contempt. He mumbled with a sinister smile, "Huh, bodyguards my foot. I'd bet my life that someone like her has no bodyguards." At the same time, elsewhere, three men, seemingly Illia's love slaves, were staring furiously at a screen. The image of Hyrkan and his skeletal warriors moving through the forest was clearly displayed.